What technology did the Techno-Barbarians of pre-Unity Terra have? How did this help them hold and expand their empires? And what did the Emperor and his custodians, marines or thunder warriors face when trying to fight them? Friends, let's find out, and welcome to another 40k video. When I hear Techno-Barbarians, I always picture some twisted world, like the child of Mad Max, Battle Angel Alita. Fist of the North Star has been kicked through a hive world, with gene-enhanced warriors and horrors from the Dark Age of Tech thrown on top. How do you picture it? Let's set the scene first. It was a world hit by the devils of ancient science unleashed, genetically tailored, viral warfare, desperate schemes at blood-bought immortality and power, and a hulking grotesquerie of once human shock troops driven into battle by the ambition of crazed warlords, splice-wrought and muscle-grafted warriors, with a common currency of war amid the Techno-Barbarian tribes and mercenary clans, which dominated much of desolate ancient Terra, while degenerate gene-damaged mutants and abhumans haunted the ruins and wastes beyond the holdfasts of petty empires. The more extreme children of the Dark Age of Tech were also a fearful legend which haunted, all too real, the dreams of men, be they the exubari vivomorphs of Camargue, who culled the young for beautiful flesh to graft to their own bodies, or the nightmare horrors of the garment clans of the deep sinks of Detrimeca, whose terrible strength and longevity were but only at the price of a far more indiscriminate and insatiable hunger. Let's look close at one example. There is no precise telling what this person had done to her flesh to make herself this powerful. She's taller than she ought to be, broader and swaddled with stem-bulked muscle. Her spine is a web of nutrient tubes, her lower jaws a griddle of bloody mandibles. Scatterfields make her boxy outline blur when she moves, and a vox scream accompanies every gesture. An inky skull had been slapped onto her rusted breastplate, which may be her own emblem, or that of her clan, or maybe allegiance to some more esoteric power. But that matters little, for it is all destined to be destroyed. She scrabbles at Valdor like some metal-pinned arachnid, the vox scream ramping to ear-bursting volume. Each of her arms terminates in a whirring, circular saw, jabbing and hacking in jerky spasms. Then he moves it, the blade, lashes it in close, shattering the skull plate and slicing up all that stem-bulked gristle. Then she is dead, the thread of her soul cut, short amidst a flail of blood, and the visions snapped into nothing. And this bit is from Valdor, Birth of the Imperium. We were fighting men stitched together into mockeries of the human form. Some were encased in machines and goaded into war with pain amplifiers. Most of those we encountered, to one degree or another, had been shaped into new forms, swapping their dignity for a feral kind of strength. We get a further sense of what they faced in Mortis. This is related to the mad scientist, I think it's fair to call him, Basilio Foe. Not deep in details here, but some cool named things: flesh husks, bio-resculpture, gene-phage torture, things that wanted to scream but sadly could not. The others who opposed the Emperor all died: Cardinal Tang, Nathan Doom, the Crimson Walkers all gone, but not him. He got away somehow. He is the last of the Lords of Old Night. There is one line elsewhere about Alba fielding proto-dreadnoughts that are steam-powered, which sounds pretty cool. These were used by the clans of Alba. And one of the last sources I want to draw on was the assault on the Tempest Galleries, and a really epic Salamanders moment. So this is during the War to Unite Terror, the War for Unity. They faced mutated eugenicist oligarchs, trying to say that twice as fast, who employed relic weapons and also had terrible weapons from the Age of Strife, as well as gene-augmented Urcatis, roughly we are told equal to the Emperor's Thunder Warriors, to narcotically enslaved Psychocovans. Sadly, that's all the details we get on them, but we get more on the battle itself and other weapons that are fielded. The Narki's stronghold, was in hollowed-out mountains and protected by power field webs. 6 proto-legions of the Legiones Astartes were mustered, along with the Emperor and the Custodes. The first thrust would be for the Salamanders, 20,000 of them. They were to go into and remove the artificially crafted caverns, the Tempest Galleries, which gave the Ethnarches power. It was a place of constant storms of flames and electromagnetics which bled from relic machines. The Salamanders went to the galleries underground. We are told it was made of vast kilometre-high spindle machines, which turned, caged seas of molten metal drawn from the planet's core and spewing forth coronas of blinding lightning, which suspended on silica webs across which inhuman machines scuttled like spiders. And there the Salamanders faced Dark Age machines, fire-blackened service automata. In fact, thousands of these Tempest automata awaited them, and they had been built to survive the molten heat around them. Plasma and melt weapons could not penetrate their armour. Bolters just ripped across them, rippling on their plate like rain. The Salamanders had to get in close and use massive kinetic force, so basically melee. In the fight, they even get some automata back on their own forces by reprogramming them. But the machine spirit that ran the galleries kept on making new ones. So the Sons of Vulcan had a plan. Some Salamanders made a diversionary run. The rest reached the main power node, and there a Kraken rose from the depths, a vast articulated beast machine, the gallery's greatest engine. It was sheathed in scales of synthetic black diamond. Molten metal ran off it like water. Its coils could have killed a battle titan, and were more than efficient to enwrap and shatter the silicate bridges on which the Legion fought. And it's hazy what happened next, but we do know the node was destroyed when a huge grav-propelled tunnelling sphere under control of the Salamanders plunged past the Kraken engine and struck the node nexus. They then carried on and wrecked the galleries, and without power the city's defences were down. Less than a third of the Salamanders returned, and with the defences removed, this allowed the Emperor his victory. And I just want to say I have left out the Chronicles of Ursh, if you're familiar. With their speak of magic and plagues, it all felt very 40k, very warp-based. And I prefer giving examples that feel more like this era, the age of the Techno-Barbarians. So you can see that these barbarians were much more than their names said they were. They had automata, other advanced weapons from the Dark Age of tech, like atomics, and the galleries, along with the automata, perhaps being something from the men of Iron Age? I'm not sure, but it's an interesting idea. And they also had deep and dark dreamcraft and warp-inspired creatures, a really crazy fun setting I would love to see more stories from. This was a fun video together, mixing all these different sources together and trying to give you a feel for this Techno-Barbarian age and what weapons were being used. I think the first half lands better than the last. The first really feels in the style of the Techno-Barbarian setting, and I feel the tech we get after feels more 40k, with them finding a Dark Age weapon, for example. And so now, at the end of the video, I turn things over to you. Yes, that's you listening. If there are any sources I missed you would have liked to have seen in the video, let me know. Do you love this vague but cool lore we get with the Techno-Barbarians? What do you think gave the Emperor the edge over them? Comment down below.